One More Round, the Young Professionals podcast is brought to you by Anchor. Create, distribute, and monetize your podcast with Anchor. Anchor believes everyone's stories can and should be heard. Around the world, creators are using Anchor's powerful platform for everyone, everywhere, for free. Anchor. I'm Matt Kelly. My co-host is Chris Vian. Welcome to One More Round, the Young Professionals podcast. Episode 2. To you, the valued listener, thank you for searching for us and making us a part of your day.
Constantine Maroulis, American Idol Finalist, Broadway Star, singer, actor, radio host. In the world of entertainment, Constantine burst onto the scene in Season 4's American Idol in 2005, singing those rock and roll high notes, finishing as a finalist. His briefcase and microphone approach, prior to American Idol and after, landed him auditions and eventually lead and supporting roles in hit musicals Rent and Jekyll and Hyde, which he received a Drama League Award nomination for a Distinguished Performance Award. He took a chance in 2009 with an off-Broadway project where he knew what he could do with it to make it a success. Playing the lead role of Drew, Rock of Ages became a smash hit, a Tony Award nomination for Best Performance by a Leading Actor in a Musical. Constantine today is involved in various movie roles, touring with his band Foreigner's Journey, bringing those incredible sounds of two of rock's greatest bands from the 80s, Foreigner and Journey. And if you think that isn't enough, you can hear him Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern with his new show, Radio Broadway, on Music Radio 77 WABC, celebrating all things Broadway. It wasn't always success for Constantine. He had to work extremely hard and believe in his gift. The rises, the plateaus, the downfalls, only to go one more round is a journey Constantine knows very well. He lived it. He's here to share it all, unfiltered, with no stones left unturned.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Constantine Maroulis and Foreigner's Journey!
That moment when your life changed during the run you had on American Idol, your status now elevated in the public eye, anything that seemed normal or simple in the past now seems pretty difficult to do now going forward.
Yeah, I think anytime you're a part of something so massive like that, and let's remember back then the entire world was watching the show, 2005, 30 million people a night, 3 nights a week from January to June. And, I had been someone that was on the road. I had been on a Broadway tour. I had played in bands. I had graduated a prestigious conservatory. So what am I going to do with this opportunity? I'm not going to beat Carrie Underwood. She is the show. So you start to kind of jump into this entrepreneurial kind of approach. I've always had the briefcase and a microphone approach to things. So, I was smart enough to know, okay, this isn't going to last on this level. Nothing can sustain on this level of fame and notoriety. So how am I going to turn it into something? And, it's the beginning of the road. And what are you going to do with that opportunity? Of course, I turned it into Rock of Ages, in meeting, the original creatives and collaborating with them and creating, a global brand in Rock of Ages. So, what is your Rock of Ages? What is your vehicle? And it doesn't have to be something that is, on the stage and under the lights and in front of everybody else. You could just be an integral part of that machine,
right?
From the back, from the wings, from the side, from the front of the house, whatever the metaphor is, like in the workplace. So I think, meeting these amazingly successful people along the way and having them be like, dude, you belong. I have an opportunity to turn this into the next 30 years of my life, and I'm already halfway through that. So, and I feel like I'm just kind of getting started with it. So, street team mentality and the direct marketing and really, and as you see, I know you and your daughter came to see me now, 16 years later after that, 15 years later, right. I'm still like the first one out in the house to greet people because,
Yep.
I have to, and I can, and I want to.
And you were the same way when I met you briefly after I saw you in Broadway, because you came next door to the restaurant, and I was there because one of my friends was working for that theater at the ticket booth, and she had told me I can never get a chance to say hello to Constantine. I see him every day because he works right here in the theater. I said, well, he went to my high school. Let me walk over to him. He's eating, but let me just see if I can maybe say hello and bring him over. And you did that. You came right over. You signed our tickets that said Ramapo Rocks. I still have it. I even sent you a picture a couple months back about that.
I remember.
Remember that? So
well, look, and that's a sense memory now for you. So like every time you kind of see me, you think of that, and it's something you can kind of smell and touch and taste and remember, and then boom, and then you drove a couple hours to see my show the other night. So
yep.
Again, like I've had lots of success and I've had tons of plateaus too. So for me, it's great when you're riding super high and maybe, you can get away with not doing all of that kind of personal work and stuff, but that's never been me. I mean, I used to stay after Broadway shows and I would do 8 shows a week. I never would do 6 shows a week.
Okay.
A lot of stars don't do the matinees, let's say. They'll do 6. I always did 8, and no one did harder shows than me. Jekyll and Hyde,
sure.
Rock of Ages, Rent, whatnot. So those are really tough shows to sing 8 shows a week, let alone invest like an emotional acting of performance. But I digress. So after a Saturday matinee, I'd be out there signing autographs, and kids would like be, ducking out the stage door so they could go eat in baseball hats and on full makeup. And they'd be coming back from dinner. I'd still be out there.
Yeah.
But guess what? Like, that's what it is. That's what it is.
When you were traveling down to DC for that audition, was it a crossroads for you? And was there a contingency plan to say, you know what, if the script isn't written the way that it has been, what would be my backup?
Yeah, good question. For me, again, I had been touring in Rent and I was flying high. And the crossroads came when at the end of my contract, and I had been to Japan, all through Canada, through, 30, 40 markets in the States. And then basically that first crossroads was, hey, we love you. Great work. We're not renewing your contract. We're going to bring in a new cast. And, but you did great. And, maybe, who knows, maybe we'll see you down the road. And I was like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
Yep.
This was everything to me. Like so I hadn't really planned past Rent. What did I say to myself? I need a job. So
right.
That's how I wasn't like, I want to be famous. I want to make it. I want to, whatever. I want to get rich quick. I need a job.
Right.
And this girl was like, let's go audition for this TV show. Now, remember, there had been 3 seasons, but I never saw it. I was on the road. I was at school, whatever.
Really? You never saw the first 3 seasons?
No.
Wow.
I swear on Milena, like
wow.
I heard of American Idol.
Yeah.
I heard of like Kelly Clarkson and Guarini and stuff, but like Clay Aiken, but like, so again, I went into it like a job. I'm like, and I went there, and as soon as I was there, they had the camera on me. The cameras are here. This is a big show. A lot of people are here. They noticed me of all these people. And right. I have a story. I was just in one of the biggest Broadway shows on tour.
Right.
I have a band. My band doesn't know I'm here.
Right.
So you're going to quit your band if you make it on American Idol?
Yeah,
and I said, I guess so. So that was, boom, that was my hook. That was my story. shooters shoot, man. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So you
That's
just
right.
take a swing.
Amen.
That's right.
So that was that really.
Well said, Constantine. I kind of want to take it in a different direction. I'm curious because everyone sees, the finished product with you on television, but kind of take us back to the start. What really inspired your love for music at a young age?
Definitely I'm the youngest of three. My older brother is actually very accomplished singer and artist and just contributor in the music world, but very different than me. He's kind of an independent goth artist and worked in the label system. And his name is Ethan Maroulis, like Nathan, but Ethan. Actually, Athanasius is his name, Athanasius Maroulis. So he's been in tons of different groups and he's writing all the time. So he's much older than me. He's 11 years older than me. So when I was a little kid, he was like this mythical kind of long hair, cool guy. I'm 5 years old and he's already like out of the house, And I'm like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
And and he would just like send me his records and I would play them all the time. And my sister is in between us, who was talented, but she was, went to Columbia, she's super bright. And she would do shows when we were, she's only like she's about 9 years older than me. And she listened to cool music, like she was into new wave. And I got all those records. And, we're talking, I grew up in the birth of the MTV era there. So I have like my parents sort of into Nat King Cole and all of that kind of stuff and Elvis and the Beatles. And then my brother pushed me into a little classic rock, but more like a little bit of the edgier kind of, Bowie and Bauhaus and Jane's Addiction, cool stuff. And, the Doors. My sister got me into more pop and new wave. And then of course I grew up in the mid 80s and it was, it was just MTV, whatever was on. It was from Madonna to hip hop to Bon Jovi to, Beastie Boys and everything. So, and I think, I just wanted to do plays as a kid because I wanted to sing more. And that was a cool way to be able to get to sing more. And then I just really loved, because I loved sports and I loved how like it took a team to like put on a show and so that was pretty cool, and there you have it with that.
Excellent. It's funny you talking about your parents and your siblings. I'm curious, what role, if any, did your Greek heritage and upbringing play in you becoming a successful entertainer?
Oh, massive influence, definitely. The Greek divine liturgy, like on Sundays, is so dramatic. And we had this priest, when we left Brooklyn and grew up in New Jersey, that was a really good singer, Father Jim Mulketis, and he would sing Sophia.
Is this in Wyckoff?
In Wyckoff, the Wyckoff Church. The priest from like all the 80s and 90s. Father Bill has been there now.
Wow.
Probably 15 years. But he was such a good singer, and I was an altar boy, and I was just like, I'd be there, and it would put you in like a trance, So I think like for sure, just even the church aspect was huge. And, digging, and even at church we had stuff like Sights and Sounds, which was like this arts contest, and it's funny, I would never win, but I was like way more talented, but like I really had stage fright when I was a kid. Like I could, people were like, oh my God, your voice is insane, and I'd be like, really? And
I never knew that about you, that you had a fear to be on stage like that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I desperately wanted to be up there, but like I had a real fear. And even my first audition for a play, maybe like freshman year of high school, like I totally bombed. And the director knew me because he knew my brother, and he's like, oh, you're Ethan's brother, right? And he did the best thing anyone's ever done for me. he put me in the ensemble of this musical that summer, and like he knew I was good, but I was a little kid and I was just mad nervous, and so I got, I built that camaraderie with everyone, and I learned from the back to the front. I watched the older kids and I was like, oh my God, they're all such stars, and I just, he made me wait my turn. And it wasn't until junior or senior year where I started playing like all the leads and stuff like that. And that was pretty cool. That was, and that's not easy to do. There were a lot of talented kids. That's like, imagine now in sports holding back someone that's better than an upperclassman just because that's your rule. That doesn't even happen anymore. Like if the kid is better than the senior, he's going to play,
Yeah.
So that was a big move, and I'll never forget that. Like that was, he made you wait for that part, and until you had earned it, like doing the ensemble, doing some stage crew stuff. And that was huge as far as like, building like responsibility and values. And again, like when I teach young people now, and like we're looking at even locations to open up a school out here, like I have freaking time for that. But
I was just gonna say,
I'm a hustler, and I love it, and I love teaching. But the thing is, it's like, look, anything in life, whether you go and become a teacher or a landscape design artist, or I don't even care. Like you don't have to become a Broadway star. This is just stuff you're learning to be a better, contributor in society on many levels. So that's like the hope, because it sucks. It sucks now. And I know that every generation says that for young people, but it's a slippery slope, because it's like, where do you go from there? So, my sister and I got in this conversation the other night, everyone's living this like high life, everyone's like rich. We're all rich. We have the watch, we're the cars, the Instagram, like we're in cool places. And it's like, dude, you're 20.
How difficult of a process was it for you to land the lead character of Drew in Rock of Ages?
Yeah, so I, my exit interviews and meetings after Idol, like my dramatic sort of departure from the show at the time, I like free-falled off the show one week, and then the whole country did a collective, and that was great for me. Like I look back and I only just spoke about it for the first time in all these years. I was like, that was a great television moment. I don't know if it was rigged or not to be that.
Yeah.
There was like this talk of it maybe being a smokescreen for Paula Abdul, who was enduring a scandal, and Dateline was like running a thing against Idol. And remember, Idol was like the Death Star on the TV schedule. It just dominated everything in sight 3 nights a week. It was just insane. So like, in one of my big interviews after and meetings, I met the original creatives on Rock of Ages, like up at Creative Artists, up at CAA at the time. Mm-hmm. And they literally brought like a mixtape into the meeting. They're like, this is it. This is the show. And they like popped it into a cassette player and played it for me. And I was like, what the hell this is crazy. And I was like, I love it. This is great.
Yeah.
And we just kind of hit it off. And, they had been kind of kicking around in LA, like clubs and bars and stuff with a concept of what it is, but it was nothing like what it became ultimately. Like it was very different. And they went and did like a Vegas run that was a big failure. So then when they came to New York, I was like, call me when you get to New York, and they did. And I went and even saw their final reading of the show with a whole different cast, and it was not great. It was clunky and weird, but I was like, I know what I could do with this.
Yeah.
I know what I could do with this. And in fact, I turned down going into Greece for like 10 grand plus a week at the time. And even that was insane amounts of money to play like a supporting part. Yeah. And I was like, nope, I'm going to do this off Broadway. And when I went and met them at their auditions, they never let me leave the room. They're like, "You're not leaving." And they just kept bringing in people to match with me, girls, guys, ensemble people. And they basically kind of designed the whole thing thereafter, like on me. And for me, they are film producers, the creatives. They've all made movies before. So as soon as this thing opened, like the rights, look, were sold, to be a movie. And if it ever became one, great.
Right.
So I was always politicking. I'm like, there's no.
Yeah.
Because, and then I even knew Adam Shankman, who directed it, and I met him shortly after Idol too, up at his house with all these famous people.
Yeah.
And he was like, "We're going to do a movie one day." And he was doing Hairspray or something at the time, or one of those big movies he was a part of. And I was like, cool. So then the show I give birth to out of my groin,
right. Right.
becomes a movie that he's directing, and he doesn't cast me as Drew. Now, I don't know what they just completely changed the movie from the show. They completely took all of the charm out of it. Drew is not 18.
Yeah.
Drew is 30, pushing a broom, still trying to make it.
Right.
That's why the audience roots for him, because he's like, oh, he's kind of good, but he's kind of sad. He's not going to make it. But he finds love, and that's what's even better.
What do you do, and how do you recharge in your spare time? What's your passion away from work?
Yeah, man, great question. Thank you. I'm really involved with my daughter's life and her scholastics and her sports and her, sort of enrichment and all. So that's something that brings me so much joy. Not something I ever thought I'd be a part of, out of marriage. I met her mom in the show. It just kind of all happened. She gets pregnant. Oh my God, what's happening? So, my daughter is everything. And, but outside of that, I love being at all the soccer games and all of her stuff. And, definitely family's huge, but, yeah, man, I'm into my collectibles. I love baseball cards. I love books. I love films, and traveling. I love to go antiquing and cars. And I'm into, just kind of going through all my stuff and keeping it organized. And I keep a pretty neat home, but I got a lot of shit. I got a lot of stuff. I'm just a stuff guy. I love stuff. And so whenever I'm in a new place, I'm always picking up something and bringing it home. And yeah, man, I mean, again, working with young hopefuls and professionals in the arts is definitely a passion of mine too.
Can touring be lonely? And what do you find most enjoyable about it? And what do you find least enjoyable about it?
Oh, absolutely. It can be definitely lonely. Because, there's this sort of misconception that we're out partying and, I don't know, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And sure, if you want to suck on stage, because for me, my instrument is, I have this, I have to honor it. I know I have a gift, and to sing the way I sing, that power rock, big, I need some rest. I can't be partying and drinking. I limit the talking, off stage. And so, yeah, it can be lonely for sure. For sure. And it's so funny, if you're in some sort of relationship, they just don't believe that. They're like, I know you're out doing something. I'm like, no, I'm really not. I'm home watching highlights,
there you go.
And hanging out in my sweet hotel room and getting rest. And really, as soon as I wake up, all I'm thinking about is the show that night.
Do you have a blueprint, career advice to help that young professional, that millennial who's at a crossroads in trying to find their career passion in life?
It's funny. I was talking to my family about this the other day, and a lot of people I feel like are saying that. I'm not happy in my job. There's a lawyer, I'll say, that's, a little younger than me. She's in her 30s, close to my family. And I heard from her parents, she's not happy. She's just not happy. Mm-hmm. You're not happy. I don't really know. Well, work isn't always about being happy. Sometimes work is just work, And, do you think our parents were always happy doing work? My grandparents who came here 100 years ago, do you think they were happy doing their work all the time?
Yeah.
So I think you have to find a balance between enjoying work, but it's not something that should, you shouldn't derive all your joy from your work. Find things that make you happy in your life. Find a family, a partner, sports, whatever it is. And I think that we're obsessed with that sort of notion of, if I'm not in a startup that's exciting and it's going to go somewhere, I'm not happy.
Yeah.
And I just think that that's like bullshit. I think sometimes it's just work. Do you think I want to sing Journey songs every night?
I was hoping you would.
well, I'm really fucking good at it, but I'd rather be doing I'd rather always be exploring a new work and a new piece and a new this and a new, artful experience every day.
Yeah.
But guess what pays the mortgage?
Right.
And the child support and, for everything else is, me hitting those high notes in Don't Stop Believing every freaking other night, or whatever it is.
Right.
And I love it. I enjoy it because I'm good at it. And I know I could see the joy it brings people. And I know that I'm taken care of, very well. And so I don't know how else to say it, but it's like we don't have to just be happy all the time about our work. We shouldn't be miserable, but suck it up. We got, not everyone can have the ideal gig. And, and one thing I would say is certainly don't leave a job until you have something lined up that's much better and cool, because that's just not a good idea. You don't want to show people that you've had gaps in your work and stuff and that you move around a lot, and that's not cool either, Maroulis.
And with that, we want to say thank you, the value listener, for making us a part of your day. For you to carve out some time for us, it's truly a privilege. One more round, the Young Professionals podcast is brought to you by Anchor. Create, distribute, and monetize your podcast with Anchor today for free. We're all going to get knocked down in life. Just make sure you get up and get back in the fight. Until next time, keep punching.